needs to be made. I think the minister's behavior is very embarrassing. The way he conducted himself should be seen as a matter of serious concern by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who appointed him. Street fighting is not part of the responsibility of anybody that has been appointed by the president. Because I've heard some people saying that he was acting on behalf of the president. No, I'm not aware that President Tinubu, when he appointed him, gave him the title of Omo Nile of FCT. Because it's only Omo Niles that behave like this. As minister of the FCT, he took the matter into his own hands. He said his officials went to the site and then they told him that they didn't allow them to chase them away. Then he left his office, carried his able-bodied officials and went to the site to go and do what? So the minister himself did not follow due process.
Yes.
And I've seen some people expressing the opinion that Officer Yerima was carrying out an unlawful order. With due respect, the Professor Horn, Sebastian Horn, quoting the Nigerian Air Force case and I think Onunzu versus State and all of that. Yes, Supreme Court has ruled that you don't carry out unlawful order when you are in uniform. You can say no. You should in fact say no. But in this particular case, we're told that the officer called his boss, called the chief of defense staff. So that in itself presupposes that he was acting in a lawful manner and not going on a frolic of his own. And in fact, that officer should be commended.
Yes.
Because he conducted himself with maturity. It was the minister in the video that I saw that was shouting, raising his hand, and this is being confirmed by some of the skits that have been produced. So I think that Minister Wike disgraced the assignment, the office of the president, to the extent that, the people arguing that he was acting on behalf of the president. We don't want Omo Nile as a minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Those who are familiar with the phrase Omo Nile, they know how Omo Nile is, how they behave. So this is a matter that should be investigated. If it were another president in office, this is more than enough to ask the minister to go back to Port Harcourt.
Is there a ministerial code? That's the question I've been asking.
There is a general code of conduct now in terms of how public in terms of how public officials should behave.
Yeah.
Now look at Punch today. I think it's a front page story. Ex-generals, they say they are angry.
Yes.
Because the ex-generals are saying, look, this has to do with the institutional integrity of the Nigerian military. All of them, without exception, the ones quoted in that story, they are saying that, in fact, Wike should be disciplined.
Right.
That he was involved in an act of indiscipline.
All right.
By taking the laws into his own hands. Right. Nobody is above the law.
All right.
And we should not further, disrupt civilian military relations. What this has done is that if Wike insists on doing Omo Nile antics across the Federal Capital Territory, other people will be emboldened to challenge him. I hope one day he will not go to his site to take the laws into his hands and they will rough handle him. Comments on the man I described yesterday as the Omo Nile of the Federal Capital Territory, who thoroughly embarrassed the President of Nigeria while pretending to be exercising delegated authority. This morning, I've also said he comes across as APC's political bouncer in the People's Democratic Party. Hence, he's trying to impose himself on that party to serve the purpose of a fifth columnist within the People's Democratic Party. So that ties the two subjects together. However, he was on television characteristically yesterday, paid, adverts for himself, in which he was saying that he respects the rule of law. Now, I don't think that is true. If the minister respects the rule of law, he cannot be selective in terms of the rule of law that he respects. When he was governor in Rivers State, did he respect the rule of law? In his attempt to say, as he insisted yesterday, that he wants to preserve the integrity of the Abuja master plan, going to pull down people's buildings, going to attack estates, is that respect for the rule of law for a man that is an officer in the Temple of Justice as a legal practitioner? Now, this same man says he's respecting the rule of law. Why is it that a person who says he respects the rule of law will be selective in his respect for the rule of law? There are many court judgments regarding to this Abuja master plan. The minister of the Federal Capital Territory chooses the kind of law that he wants to respect, the one that he doesn't want to respect. That in itself is an abominable, unacceptable behavior. That's number one. So he's saying he respects the rule of law. That's a lie. Number two, he said that he has no problem with the military and that he respects the military because he knows what the military is doing, and that if he has any problem with the military, he knows where to go, but he doesn't believe in confrontation. Wike saying that he does not believe in confrontation. He even confronts journalists.
Yes.
Not realizing that you don't fight a man or people who have platforms. You will lose in the long run. So disrespecting the media, the military establishment, confronting the military establishment, that's precisely what he did. And by so doing, I insist, I repeat, that he exposed the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, to utter embarrassment. And that is something that I think that the president of Nigeria should still address, one way or the other. And it is as follows. He says, okay, he respects the military, he doesn't disrespect any institution. This is after it was reported yesterday on the front page of a Punch newspaper that the generals are fuming. There is no general that is supporting Nyesom Wike. They are all supporting Officer Yerima. They say he's disciplined, they said he was polite, they said he showed professionalism. The CDS is behind him. Minister Matawale has spoken also in his defense and in defense of the military. The Minister of Defense, Minister Badaru, has also spoken in defense of the military. The Inspector General of Police has told his men that, look, nobody should go and use you to put down other person's buildings in Abuja without a court order. In other words, the Inspector General of Police is also saying that what Minister Wike did was unlawful, was a resort to self-help, and law enforcement officers wearing the police uniform should not do that. So Minister Wike says he respects the rule of law. So he's the only one who is redefining, recharacterizing, positioning his conduct. I think that the time has come for the president of Nigeria to call him to order.
Yes.
To say that there is something about decorum in terms of the behavior of public officers. He could have used a court order.
Yes.
If there are court orders, he could have respected those court orders, and whether the land was in the possession of a former chief of air staff or naval staff or whatever. Nobody is above the laws of the land, and no minister has the powers to intimidate everybody. He says he doesn't like intimidation, that nobody can intimidate a government. All of us exist under the rule of law. And by conduct, ministers who have been given the opportunity to serve by President President Tinubu must also conduct themselves in a decorous manner. No minister has the powers to come and dictate to everybody. You dictate to the media, you dictate to the military.
They will be telling you the questions to
on
ask
the basis of what?
Media chats. They will be telling you questions to ask.
Meant to have listen to what's happening on radio, listen to what's happening on television, filter the internet and see the opinion of Nigerians. What you are going to find out is that the federal government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a wicked problem. And what is this wicked problem? An energetic, competent, goal-driven, with evidence of performance on one side, but a mismanaged, excessively irritating and garrulous aide who has no capacity to understand that you are a minister, you are representing a president. The amount of invectives you put out at people increases their ability for them to, first of all, dislike you, and then by inference begin to dislike your principal, who then makes everybody believe that you have been given the liberties to disrespect everybody in the country. You had a problem in Rivers, you were backed. People didn't like that. You seem to have issues with almost all our revered leaders in the country, whom you have no ears talking to them anyhow, speaking to them anyhow, disrespecting them. People tolerated it. You are constantly in the media, screaming, shouting, bellowing, jumping, saying it anyhow you like. People are slowly but gradually unhappy. And suddenly, you have to do a ministerial responsibility that could have been done via administrative correctness. But in your, I'm bigger than everybody, I'm very strong, and this and that, you put yourself in a situation where a junior ranking officer is now forced to hold the line before you and made yourself and the entire government you represent to become the caricature of Joe. Let me advise so that they know. I once asked Chief Obasanjo one day when he had finished that, sir, how do you people control, how do you get the army and the armed forces to behave in civilian regime?
It's almost 1 week or more than 1 week. Yes, on Wike, the FCT minister continues to receive criticism and heavy condemnation regarding his face-off with the Navy naval officer Yerima. You know, I just love how Reuben Abati that yes, Wike behaved like Lagos or Omo Nile, or what we can call Abuja. He has all the power like he always wants us to know he has, but he didn't know how to use it. He just had a total embarrassment. And I love how what's his name, Reuben Abati puts it in the end. He said someday people could rough handle him. At least he has got to know that there are some issues or some situation that he cannot use that power he feels he has to intimidate people. He went there to intimidate and a bully. He called him a bouncer. That Wike is a Lagos or Monile, or we can call Abedo, and also a bouncer. And that's what this man has always shown. Who speaks from both sides of the mouth. Being an FCT, while as an FCT minister, if you follow his record so far, you hear him making comments like that he's going to put fire in PDP, the states of PDP governors. Not now, almost all the PDP governors have decamped to APC. He made statement like he's going to put fire in their states. FCT minister, he's not even a governor again. He's standing in between PDP and APC, bullying everybody that is not in his own camp. And he said he obeys rule of law. Rule of law in Abuja, you had Reuben Abati say it. You had Rufai Oseni say it. There will be a court order restraining him and his FCDA team from demolishing buildings. He will just go ahead and demolish it. He disregard court order and go ahead and demolish it. Because to him, he sees himself as federal government. And that's who he is, because he's representing Tinubu. But he failed to do same when he wanted to go and make that confrontation. And also, this man, public affairs analyst and strategist, Ishegumi, he said that Wike is like a caricature. He made a caricature of Tinubu's government. And that's what it is. That Nigeria has a Wike problem. Everywhere, Wike wants to be involved in everywhere. He wants to be involved in PDP affairs and APC affairs. You know, so this man needs to be cautioned. Army generals like Reuben Abati said, so many army generals, I uploaded a video yesterday where former chief of army staff, Lucky Erabo, condemned him. Said that he disregarded the total armed forces. It's not just the naval officer, lieutenant, that he called a fool. You cannot call a uniform man a fool. And instead of him to own up his error and apologize, here is a man who cannot apologize. He said what he meant, that the lieutenant was Yerima was standing on an illegal order. It is not in his place to decide whether he's standing on an illegal order, because the young man doesn't take orders from him. And the funny aspect of it, that Reuben Abati said that he feels like the president should take him back to Port Harcourt. If he continues like this, he should be taken back to Port Harcourt. And if that is even done, Fubara is even in big trouble. There will be another thorn in Fubara's flesh. So this man's feathers needs to be caught. He needs to be cautioned. The president needs to bring him to order. He's making a mess, not just of himself, but because he's the FCT minister, he's making a mess of Tinubu and entire APC government. So it's quite embarrassing to see a matured man. Look at when we come to terms with Yerima and Wike. And maybe if we check very well, Wike's first son could even be the same age mate with this boy. And that's the person is addressing. He condescended so low to disgrace himself in that manner. So Nyesom Wike should just go and cool his head and learn decorum. Learn how to run a public office. This is not when he was governor that he can do anything he wants. He's a public office holder. And even as Rufai Oseni and Reuben Abati were quoting, he has even violated that code of conduct. What Wike did is equal to getting him sacked by Tinubu. But that's what we get from APC and Tinubu's government. He will go scot-free. So it's a disgrace. They should call him to order. Stop demolishing people's houses in Abuja. You are not going to be FCT minister forever. He has not even done worse than El-Rufai did when he was FCT minister. El-Rufai demolished a lot of houses. In fact, when you hear of Apo resettlement, that's El-Rufai's signature. Resettled a lot of people, civil servants. Demolished a lot of houses. But today, El-Rufai is not FCT minister. Highest, we say, Tinubu's 4 years about to end. By next year, Tinubu's 4 years will be over. 2027, a new election will be conducted. You never know. Wike might not be returned as FCT minister. Tinubu might decide to relocate him to another ministry. So he's doing all this thing, taking people's land, giving them to his friends. Another FCT minister who might also come and revoke that authority and revoke that, that right. It happens. So nothing lasts forever. I don't know why he fails to understand that. But at least Yerima's confrontation will be a litmus test, acid test to him. He should know that he will not always have his way. And he should learn how to run a public office and be in a public office. For me, Wike deserves a suspension or a caution, or even he needs to apologize to the Nigerian Armed Forces for this, insulting the office, calling the young man a fool that was standing on an order. He was not standing on his own. Him calling that Yerima a fool means he's also calling the person who ordered him to be there a fool. And Nigerians demand an apology from Nyesom Wike. But he obviously is never going to come, because that's Tinubu's government for you. In Nigeria, we don't have government of accountability. If this is in UK or US, in Europe, they will humble themselves and apologize. So some of them will just resign, humbly resign. When they discover that they have done something wrong, they will resign. But for a Nigerian politician to resign, you know that it's going to be the most difficult thing for them to do. It's never going to happen.